minute.
Welcome back to Yirara.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Lesson 2 in Maths on Yirara 2U live stream today. Tuesday, 8th of February. We have...
My name is Mr. Shane. I'm an LSO here at Yirara College. And I'm Mr. Keegan. I'm also an LSO here at Yirara.
And I'm Miss Pam. I'm Year 7 and 8 teacher. So let's get started. You won't have your workbooks yet with you, but today our lesson is about counting in 5s and 10s. So we're going to start with Mr. Keegan talking about groups of 5. So just looking at the first slide.
Find the thing that is the same about each group. There are 5 things in each group. The first group has 5 dogs. The second group has 5 balloons. The next group has 5 trees. And the next has 5 cupcakes.
Next slide. So taking a look, lots of cards in groups of 5 and then a clock. Now we're using a clock to show you about 5 minutes on the clock. We're going to count in 5s all the way around to make 1 hour. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55 and 60 minutes in total. Counting in 5s is also used to tally up numbers.
In games like cricket, we can score a run like with a tally. So 1 is 1 tally, 2, 2 tallies, 3, 3, 4, 4 and 5 is a slash to group a group of 5. 6 is 5 and 1. 7, 5 and 2. 8, 5 and 3. 9, 5 and 4. And 10, 2 groups of 5.
Now a little bit more about groups of 5 on the next slide. I've found a handful of gravel and I laid it out on the concrete and divided it into 6 groups of 5. So we're just going to go through those. There we've circled 6 groups of 5. 5 pieces of gravel in each group. Now Mr. Keegan's going to explain how we add them together. See how many we've got all together.
So we're counting in 5s. How many groups do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. And there's 5 in each group. So we have 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. How many is that? That is 30. Yay! Woo!
Good job. Happy, very happy. Okay.
So we're skip counting by 5s. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we skip count all the way to 5, and that's 1 group of 5. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, skip counting by 5s. And one more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip counting by 5s.
And just like our last slide, there are 6 groups of 5 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, we're going to show you on our number line, Mr. Shane's going to show you on the number line, how we can actually skip count across like that on a straight line. 1, skip count to 5. And then all the way to 10. Then to 15. So that's 3 groups of 5. So Mr. Shane's writing up the top there that we are adding 5 each time we go forward by 5. And that totals 15. 5 plus 5 plus 5. Now, in your work booklet that you'll get in the mail soon, you have a page that's counting in 5s all the way to 500. Now Mr. Keegan's going to show you again how that's done, and we'll do the first row and the second row with you.
Just like yesterday, we're going from the left all the way to the right. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Notice the patterns going down in each column. They are adding 50 each time. So 10 plus 50 is 60. 60 plus 50 is 110. 110 plus 50 is 160.
Okay, and there's a 0 on the end of all of those numbers. Now, Mr. Keegan, I need $50. You got $50 spare?
Sure do.
Can you show me how I can make $50 with all my 5s? I've got $5, but I don't know how to make $50.
Should we count to see how many we need?
Okay, can you help me count them so I've got the right amount of money?
Sure. 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50.
So we've got, how many have we got all together to make our $50? One group of 5, two groups of 5, 3 groups of 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So we've got 10 groups of 5 equaling $50. Great. Do you have $50, Mr. Keegan?
Should I count?
Yeah, let's see if we've got the same.
10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50.
Oh, great. Now we've got lots of things we can buy with $50. Let's go. Can I take this 50 too?
For sure.
Oh, there's 100. We've got groups of 5 and we've got one whole 50. Fabulous. Okay. Now what we're going to do, everyone out there, is have a look at the number line on the bottom of the next slide where it says 3 times 15. Okay? And we're just going to be reminded that this is our number line here that Mr. Shane showed us before. We have 5 plus 5, just like it tells you in the slide, plus 5 all the way to 15. Does that make sense? Of course it does. Now, when you get your work booklet, we want you to work through that first task, counting in 5s all the way to 200. It is 200, isn't it?
500.
500. It goes all the way to 500, okay? I'm sure you can do that yourselves. Now, if you get stuck, you can go back through this video because it will be recorded and you can watch it as many times as you like and slow down and have a good look at the slides until you understand groups of 5. Okay, so we're going to show you a short video now while we get ready to count in 10s.
So we will have memorized the multiples of 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 55, 60. Get on your feet, skip count with me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Jump up and count by 5 with me.
Let's go. Are you ready?
Okay, welcome back. I hope you liked that little video as a reminder in how to count in 5s. And now we're going to go to counting in 10s. It's counting in 10s all the way to 1,000. So remember to go from left to right. Mr. Keegan's just going to show you quickly how to do the first line. It's a really simple one, and look for the pattern with the zeros.
So starting at 10, then we have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100.
Okay, now when you get your work booklets, you can work that one out yourself, I'm pretty sure. But if you do get stuck, go back to the video and check it out again. Mr. Shane's just going to quickly show you how to count, skip count on our number line in 10s. One big skip to the number 10. Then another big skip to number 20. Well done, Mr. Shane. Thank you. Okay, now time's up for lesson number 2 in maths. But stay tuned now for Mr. Lico and Mr. Max with integrated learning. And please stay tuned again tomorrow, 1 o'clock. And we'll see you then for lesson number 3. Bye.
Welcome to my country.
Welcome to my country.
Welcome to my country.
Welcome.
Meet my ancestors, 180 million years young.
My culture is everywhere around me.
My country is incredible, from its deserts to its seas.
Come walk with my ancestors on my homeland.
I would like to acknowledge the Indigenous people of this great nation, Australia.
From Aboriginal nation to make up this land.
The traditional custodians of this land.
Let us all pay our respect to our elders, past and present, and those in the future.
Come, walk with us, connect with us, and become part of our dreaming.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second lesson of integrated learning. My name is Mr. Lico.
And my name is Mr. Max.
And we're coming to you live right here at the Yirara 2U studio here in Yirara College at Alice Springs. We're looking forward to bringing you some content about Australia, which is our main topic for integrated learning this term. And we're really excited to show you the beautiful features that makes Australia very special and very unique. So before we get into our learning for today, we thought it would be an awesome idea to recap on some of the learning that we've done yesterday, just in case you missed yesterday's episode. So Max is going to show us a completed version of our first task from yesterday's lesson. So as you can see, you would have completed on page 1 of the workbook your own word find. And in that word find, you will see that the main words are based on the states and territories around our beautiful country of Australia. But Max, I can see there's a bonus question on that word find that is missing. What's that question?
The question is, which internal Australian territory is missing?
Cool. So we've got most of the states and the territories there. Have you figured out which internal Australian territory is missing?
Yes, I think that the missing territory is the Australian Capital Territory, ACT.
Awesome. So another place that we will look at furthermore in this lesson. Another thing we looked at, and if we have a look, so we not only looked at the different states and territories around Australia, we also looked at what this word meant.
Fact.
So we looked at the word fact. What does fact mean? A fact is information that is true with proof. We also looked at the difference between a fact, something that is false, and also someone's personal opinion. The reason why we looked on at fact is we led into the second task, which you can see in the student workbook. And Max is going to show us a completed version of the fun facts that he has managed to come up with about our beautiful country of Australia. So, your task in that workbook, your second task, was to give us 5 fun facts about Australia. It can be any facts about people, it can be about places, it can be about animals, plants, anything you'd like. We just want to know what you know about Australia. But remember, it needs to be a fact, something that is supported with proof. So let's have a look at some of the cool facts that Max wrote down yesterday. Number 1, what is that, Max?
There are more sheep than people in Australia.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that. I definitely didn't know that. But apparently there are more sheep in Australia than people themselves. So meaning, if you calculate how many people there are in Australia, there's about 25 million people, the population of Australia. There are actually more sheep, which means there are more than 25 million sheep in Australia, which is awesome. Right? What's another fact that you got there, Max?
Well, West Australia, WA, is bigger than most countries around the world.
Nice. And that's something we're going to look at today. So Western Australia, the biggest state in Australia, is actually a lot bigger than some of the more smaller countries around the world, which is fascinating. So we're going to have a look, now that we've recapped on yesterday's lesson, let's have a look at some of our learning intentions for today. So what are we learning today? Today, we are learning two. We've recapped on yesterday's lesson. Today, we'll learn about the different states and territories of Australia. We'll also learn about the different compass points on a map, something we're really excited to teach you guys and bring you guys today. And also, in your workbooks, we're going to learn how to locate those different states and territories, not only using the compass points, but also show you where the awesome places are in Australia using the map in your workbooks. So, let's get straight into it. So, as you can see here, and Max has also got it around his neck, right? Can you explain a little bit about what you've got around there?
So this is a compass. It helps to show us the different directions, and this can help us in a number of ways. So for example, when we're driving and walking, it helps us know which way we're going. If we're helping to give somebody else directions and they ask us on the street, this can help us as well. And when we're reading a map, it also helps us to know which way is what.
Cool. So which is exactly what we're doing today. So as you can see, there's a map behind us, but we're going to look at the 4 different points on a compass. So I'll get Max to hold that. Right. So at the very top of the compass, at the top point of the compass, we have the north point, right? And that's normally at the top of a place or going upwards on the compass point. On the right hand side of the compass, we have east. On the bottom of the compass, or the bottom point of the compass, is south. And on the left hand side of the compass, we have west. So let's have a look at the 4 different compass points. We have north, east, south and west. That's north, east, south and west. How do we apply those compass points onto a map? Let's take a look. So as we can see, there's a map of Australia. Using your compass points, can you tell me which points are the right directions? So let's have a look at the blue arrow. What compass point is that? So if we are looking at the bottom point of Australia and we look at their compass, this is south. And which most of you know, that's where South Australia is. Let's have a look at the green arrow. And this is a place where Max has already mentioned in his 5 fun facts. So the green arrow, the compass points to west, which means this is the west. In other words, that's the western coast or west coast of Australia. The red arrow, if the compass says east, we apply that onto the map. This is the eastern side of Australia. And at the top end, where a lot of you students are from, right, is the north. And we know that a lot of our communities up there is at the most northern point of our country, Australia. So that's one way that we can apply our 4 compass points onto a map, which is one of the key ways that you would need a compass in navigating your way through a map. Let's have a look at some more slides on our PowerPoint. So having a look at how we can apply our compass points, let's have a look at the different places and states and territories of our country, Australia. So, as you can see, there's a black arrow pointing to the left side of the map. What part of the compass do you think that is? Yes, that's right. That's Western Australia. And one famous attraction that we see in Western Australia?
That would be the beach camel riding in Broome.
Yeah, beach camel riding in Broome. An awesome activity to do if you're ever to visit Western Australia. Let's have a look at the next part. As we move to the central part of Australia, you'll see a black arrow pointing to that middle states. What do you think that is? Yes, that is the best place, the Northern Territory, the NT. And one of the famous attractions that a lot of people know around the world is the famous Uluru. And if you've ever been there before, I've heard it's quite magical. So I hope we get to visit that place one day, Max.
Definitely.
Let's move on. So now that we're moving to the right-hand side of the map, or the eastern side of the map, what's the next state? What do you think the next state might be? Yes, it is Queensland. And one of the famous attractions we see in Queensland is the famous Ferris wheel. If you're scared of heights, I recommend you do not go on there. All right, as we move further south of Australia, still on the east side, or on the right-hand side of the map, we have our next state, and that is New South Wales. An awesome attraction that a lot of people know around the world, and one of the main reasons a lot of people visit Australia is the famous Sydney Opera House, which is based in New South Wales or on the southern east point of Australia. Right, let's have a look at our next state or territory. So as you can see, we're getting further south. The next place or the next state or territory in Australia is ACT, which is a place that Max mentioned before, or the Australian Capital Territory. This is mainly known or famous because it is the capital of Australia, another fact that we've looked at. Our next state, still in the southern point of Australia, or on the east side, southeast, is Victoria. I'll let Max explain this because this is where he's from.
Yes, Victoria is one of the southeastern states of Australia, and one of the most famous things in Victoria, in our capital Melbourne, is Luna Park, which is a really fun place to visit with lots of rides.
Yeah, nice, awesome. All right, the southernmost state of Australia, our next place is Tasmania, and as you can see, one of the famous attractions of Tasmania is Cradle Mountain.
Very cold there, very cold.
Yeah. Oh, cool. All right, as we start moving to the left-hand side of the map, as we mentioned before, the next state is South Australia. And one of the most beautiful places in South Australia is a place called Glenelg Beach, based in Adelaide. And I'm sure some of you fellas and ladies have been to Adelaide, and it's a beautiful place. So that's in the southern part of Australia, or the states, South Australia. So let's have a look at a video to reinforce some of the learning about our states and territories that we've looked at so far. Enjoy.
Western Australia, Perth, Northern Territory, Darwin, Victoria, Melbourne, Queensland, Brisbane, Tasmania, Hobart, New South Wales, Sydney, South Australia, Adelaide, Australian Capital Territory, Australia, Australia.
Awesome. We hope you enjoyed that song about our different states and capitals right here in Australia. So, going back to our workbook, let's have a look at your next task for today, which will support some of the learning that we have done so far about our territories and capitals, and also perhaps you can use some of those compass points that we've looked at today. So, let's have a look. So our next task is also titled Australia's States and Territories. Your task is to have a look at the Australian map below. You can either use an atlas or you can use Google or the internet to help you label some of the capital cities of Australia. The beginning letter for each state, territory and capital city has been given to you. So this is there to help you hopefully start getting those minds ticking along. You can either cut and paste the correct labels onto your map of Australia, or you can simply write it in, if you don't have access, that is, to scissors or a glue stick. So let's have a look at some of those different places. We have on the left-hand side of the task, we have Adelaide, the ACT or the Australian Capital Territory, Brisbane, Canberra, Darwin, Hobart, Melbourne, New South Wales, the NT, Perth, Queensland, South Australia, Sydney, Tasmania, Victoria, and Western Australia. So Max is going to give us the first two examples of how he can use the letters that the task has given you to help him figure out what that place might be. So let's have a look at the northernmost points of Australia. So starting with D, which I'm sure a lot of students already know, we have at the northern or the top end of Australia. What do you think that might be, Max?
I think that's Darwin.
Darwin, cool. So if you don't have access to scissors or a glue stick, you can simply write it in just as Max is about to do. Cool. Let's have a look at one more example. So as we move to the central part of Australia, there's a box in the middle there, which I'm sure you all know about, starting with N and T. So having a look at the list of the places on the left-hand side, which place do you think starts with N and a T?
I think we are looking at the Northern Territory.
The Northern Territory, which is where we are based right now. So Max is going to write in Northern Territory as your second example. So using all the places on the left, as you go along, you are to fill in those empty boxes using the letters that has been given to you, and hopefully you can give us an understanding about the locations of the different states and territories around our beautiful country. Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
All right, so let's finish off. As we conclude, we'll finish off in what we have achieved today. So what did we achieve today? Today we learnt to show our learning from yesterday, which is what we've done. So we looked at the meaning of fact. We also looked at the different fun facts that you have come up with. We also learned about locating the different states and territories of Australia using a compass and using a map. And we understood the different points on a compass. So we learned about north, east, south, and west. If you don't remember, Max has actually a tip for you to remember some of those 4 key compass points.
Never eat soggy Weet-Bix. Never north, eat east, soggy south, Weet-Bix west.
Nice, awesome. Thank you very much, Max. So that's us for today. We'll wrap it up. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed tuning in to our lesson. Tomorrow, we'll be looking at calculating the time and the distance between different places and territories, not only using a map, but we'll get you into using some of the, using Google and also the internet to help you with your research skills. Tomorrow, tune in at 1 o'clock for maths with myself and 1:10 with Miss Pam and Mr. Max. And we look forward to seeing you then. Have a good day, everyone.
I wake up, it's a new day and I wanna go to school. Get an education, I ain't nobody's fool. I grab a lunchbox and I head out the door. So much I wanna learn and so much to explore. I walk into my school and there's nobody here. Where are all my friends? I begin to fear. I look at my phone and I check my email, searching for a message that can give me details. I find the one, can't believe I missed it. Now it makes sense, now the puzzle pieces fit. I thought I heard a rumor, didn't think it was true. Witness the return of Yirara to you.
Hey guys, welcome to Yirara to You Music, Term 1, 2022. And this term, we're going to be looking at learning the guitar from the beginning. So first things first, we're going to learn what all the different parts of the guitar are called. This part up here is called the head or the headstock. These parts here are called the tuning pegs. They help you tune the guitar. Obviously, those are the strings. This long part here is called the neck. And now under the strings, going across the neck, you see these metal bars. And those are called the frets. And we place our fingers in between the frets to create chords so we can play stuff. This whole part here is called the body, this big part here. That's called a pick guard, so when you're strumming, you don't damage the body of the guitar with the pick. Sound hole, so the sound goes into there and it kind of it echoes and reverberates and amplifies and makes it louder. This part here is called the bridge, where the strings are anchored into the body with these pins, bridge pins. There's a little white part there that the strings go across called the saddle. And I think that about does it. Let's get started. Okay, so the very first thing you need to do before you learn any chords or learn any songs is make sure your guitar is in tune. Now the best way to do that is to buy a guitar tuner. One of the easiest to use and simplest ones is a clip-on tuner like this, which you can pick up for between $10 and $20 either online or at a music shop. And switch it on, clip it onto the end of the guitar. Simple as that, and we can start tuning. Now the first string, the thickest one, is supposed to be an E. So pluck the string, and the tuner will pick up the vibration of the string through the wood. Okay, so that's too low, that needs to come up. So you turn the tuning peg to the left. And when the dial reaches the middle, it will flash a certain colour. Now this one goes green, you may find another tuner that goes a different colour. But that means that it's in tune. If it says E and it's flashed a different colour and the dial is in the centre, it's in tune. Okay, so that's in tune. Next one is an A string. That needs to come up as well, that's too low. So again, twisting to the left. There we go. It's green in the centre, it's in tune. Next one is a D. That also needs to come up, that's too low. Hold on, it doesn't. It needs to come down. I made a mistake. So, when it needs to come down, you turn it the opposite way. Turn it towards the right. There we go. That's in tune. That's a D. Okay, G. That needs to come up. That's a G. So, these pegs, the other side, you need to turn them the opposite to what you would these ones. Okay. So the G. When it needs to come up, you turn it to the right. There you go, that's in tune. The B, again, needs to come up, it's too low. Turn it to the right. There we go. Now that's too high, so it needs to come down. You need to turn it to the left. There we go, so that's in tune. And you should have a pleasant sounding, in tune guitar. Another thing you're going to need is a guitar pick or a plectrum. You can pick these up from a music shop or online. They're pretty cheap, you can buy them in bulk. Right, let's learn some chords. Okay, so the first chord we're going to look at is an E major chord. So, you're going to put your index finger on the first fret on the G, and then your middle finger on the second fret on the A, and then your ring finger directly underneath it on the second fret on the D string. And then strum the strings, and there you have it. There's an E major chord. We can move on to another chord. This is a C major chord. So your ring finger on the third fret on the A string, your middle finger on the D string on the second fret, and then your index finger on the B string on the first fret. And that's what a C major chord sounds like. Feel free to pause at any point so you can catch up. And the last chord we're going to learn today is an A major. Now with this one you need to squeeze 3 fingers all into one fret. So your index finger on the second fret on the D string, then squeeze your middle finger right underneath it on the G, and then your ring finger right underneath that on the B. So squeeze all 3 fingers together in a row in the second fret. And that's what that sounds like. And the best way to get used to playing chords is to get a strum rhythm going. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and try and change between them. So start off really slowly. So we'll go back to the E major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Change to the C. And the A. Then over time you can slowly get faster. Start adding in drum patters. First things first, just get used to placing your fingers in the correct place for the chords. Right, that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time when we will be learning some more chords. Take care.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Yirara.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here. You have already smashed our first expectation of come in and stay. Well done, you fabulous student. Hopefully, as you can see on the slide, there's the picture of the workbook. If you haven't had your workbook by now, you can go online and download it from the Yirara College website, just as Miss Elizabeth showed you how to do yesterday. On page 4 of your workbooks, there is a map of the NT and 2 questions for you to answer. Where do you live? Where have you been? So have a look and have a think. Miss Kamisha is going to talk to you about her travels in the NT before we hear more from Ruben about Bush Tucker. Let's have a look.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are looking at the maps that we have in our IL booklets that we've just sent out. Whenever you're ready. Today we're going to be looking at the map. We just want to know where some of our students have travelled and where some of them are located and staying. I'm going to be showing you some places I have been through the NT. I'm going to be showing you a place that I'd love to visit in the NT and also one of my favourite places in the NT. So when I travel from Alice, I usually drive up to Darwin. I don't take the plane because I'd rather see all of the sites that are along the road. So I've been through to Laramba, Tea Tree. I've also been to Yirara for a job I used to work in. Passed through Tennant Creek, up through Elliot where we've got some students that stay there. Through there we've got Daily Waters, which you travel through, Mataranka, and then to Catherine. I've also been up to Bachelor near the Adelaide River and Jabiru for a Year 9 camp when I was in school. I have some family that live and stay on the Tiwi Islands that I would really love to go and visit. I've heard the water is amazing up there. And one of my favourite places would probably have to be Jabiru / Bachelor, only because I love looking at the waterfalls that NT has to offer. They're probably the best attraction in the NT, I'd say. So everybody, we would like to know where you have been and what places you'd like to visit. Also, remember to take a look at your map when you are answering questions because it is going to help you a lot.
Now, one of the things that can give you flavour to food, there's a few things. We've got mint in the area, which is a native mint tree, little tree it is, and we've also got native lemongrass. So when I give this to that young lady here holding the camera and she has a smell of this, she might tell you it smells a bit really strong lemongrass smell.
Yeah, very much like lemon and citrusy.
So that's growing all around Alice Springs in different areas, but then when you look at it, there's 27 different type of grass, plus basically you're looking for that little flower there and a really sort of a light greenish. It's a light green sort of leaf to it, and you'll know that's lemongrass by just having a quick smell, and that will tell you if it's lemongrass. But yeah, look for the leaf, the type of leaf, and look for that grass as a little bit of a light colour. Alrighty, we want to go show you some more bush tucker now. That's just 2 there we've got out of the way now. Alrighty. Now everyone, this one here that I've got a hold of, this is one of the acacia family. There's about 3,000 acacias worldwide. In Australia, all through the arid area, we've got well over 500 up to 900 plus acacias. This particular acacia you're looking at here, you can actually get the seed pods and you can roast them up, put them underground oven, and you can actually eat the seeds. out of the seed pods from dead finish. This is called dead finish, the common name. But also scientifically, if you grab one of these sharp leaves, it's a real sharp leaf, it's like a pin or a needle. What you do is you put that into a wart for an hour and then take it out and continually do that for a week. By the end of the week, the wart is said to go brown, die and drop off. So dead finish. And the reason why it's called dead finish, two reasons. One, the early settlers, when they were riding their horses, if they ever came across a wall of this, dead finish. They had to go around and come back. But the other main saying is, dead finish, if you ever see cattle feeding on the dead finish, you know that that is the end of the desert, because that will always be the last plant that survives in our Australian desert is dead finish. So if any cattle are feeding on it, find your way rapidly out of the arid region, because there's no water left and no food left, and the animals are starting to eat a desperate tree. So yeah, dead finish, and also medical use and traditional food as well. We're going to take you up and show you the witchetty bush now. That's only just up the path up there. This is another acacia. This one, very popular to a lot of people know this one. This one is basically your witchetty bush, which is your acacia. They do have scientific names. I apologise for the lack of scientific name. But the witchetty bush, a lot of people associated the witchetty bush with the witchetty grub. But they didn't realise that there's probably another 3 or 4 trees that you'll actually find the witchetty grub. But because we've got the witchetty bush here, a good example of how the traditional people used to get it, in the old days, a lot of the animals would clear the bottom. Your marla, your bilby, your bedongs, there was 1 million each of these animals, and they were always clearing under the trees. So the traditional people would come along and look under the tree for cracks in the ground, and the crack in the ground was normally after the rain, because the caterpillar in the root system, that witchetty grub, has expanded. So the ladies would look for cracks in the ground. That would indicate to them that that caterpillar is getting bigger. They would then dig that up. But modern day, it's a lot harder now, because there's a lot of leaf litter sitting under the trees. So the ladies literally have to get there with a rake sometimes and actually rake it out. When the old days, you would never have to do that, but it's because we've got 8 million cats in the wild in Australia that are taking out hundreds of thousands of mammals every year. So we need those animals back, but we can never release them back in the wild because there's too many cats. So what we used to do is now we can't do it. We have to do a little bit more raking. But yeah, that's your witchetty bush. It's an acacia. Remember, there's that little bit of a saying, somewhere in Australia, there's always an acacia flowering.
Welcome, Yirara. It is so good to be back with you. We've had some absolutely wild weather in the territory, but I do hope you have been safe and have been having an amazing time with your family. So, let's get into today's lesson. Sometimes I don't know where to go. So, I printed out a map of our school. And right now, we're at the male basketball courts. And if we take a look, we can put a dot right here on the male basketball courts. In your little booklet, you're going to have a map the same as this. And you're going to have to help me get from the male basketball court down to the DT room. Can you help me with that? Fantastic. So the first thing we need to do is we need to revisit how to read a map. So, on this whiteboard, I drew a quick grid, a quick map. So the first thing we need to remember is there is a y-axis and an x-axis. So the way I like to remember this is you have to walk to a tree before you can climb it. So an example is if I'm going up these stairs, I have to walk over to them before I can go up. And that's the same thing with our map. We have to go along the bottom before we can go up. Can you find the coordinate for this triangle? I'll give you a few seconds. All right, got it in your head? Let's work it out together. So, going along here, we find 11, and along this side, it comes to 7. So if we're going to write that out, the triangle is at x 11 and y 7. That's how we find the coordinate. So one more try. Try and find the square. How'd you go with that one? Excellent, let's do it together. So the square, we find the x-axis first, is at 4. And the y-axis is at 5. Absolutely fantastic, everybody. If you pull up your little map, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to try and find where the DT room is. I think it's somewhere over in this section. All right, if you guys said the science block, absolutely correct, because we always have DT next to science. So I'm going to put a little dot right there. So our coordinates for the basketball court is, we find the x-axis, which is 10, and the y is 7. On the other side, that is x 10 and y 7. Now, let's find the coordinates for the DT room. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds to write down the DT room coordinates. All right, how'd you go with that? Did you find it? Fantastic. So the coordinates for the DT room are x19 and y6. So I'll write that down. x19 and y6. So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice our map reading skills. So we're going to do a team race. Team A will consist of Mr. Dave and Mr. Max. And Team B will consist of Miss Emily and Mr. Liko. So what's going to happen is they have 8 points, 2 different routes to read the coordinates and go to male basketball court. And the first team who gets there wins. So let's go.
All right, Ems, we've got to go to point 2. Point 2 is x14 and y14.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Just say, all right, this coordinate
Okay.
is x20.
x20, y13.
And y.
Number 3 is x17 and y12.
We're at number 3. Yep. Well, now we have...
What coordinate is it?
Well, number 3 is x20, y10.
Where's the next one?
The next one at number 4 is at x17, y9.
Alright, let's go.
We've made it to point number 3. Our next point is x12, y12. Let's go.
We're going to point 8, which is x10, y6 near the basketball.
Go right, I think they're here.
That's it.
I think it's official. Team B won. Thanks for visiting us, guys. We'll see you next time.
Come on, baby.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Yirara.
Good afternoon, everyone. Miss Andrea back with you, and we're doing today Year 10 Maths. We're still looking at money and spending, but today we're focusing on your money in the bank. And today you don't have to go to the bank so much because we have ATMs and you can pay with a debit card. Still, even though you haven't got cash on you, you need to know how much is left in your bank account, and that's called your balance. So, why do you need to know how much money you have in the bank? Well, firstly, you need to know how much you can spend. Secondly, you might need some extra cash for an emergency. Also, what if your family needs help or your friend needs some money? Let's have a look at the PowerPoint slide and have a look at those ideas written down in words. So we talked about how much you can spend, extra money in case of an emergency, money to help a family member or friend. What about keeping some money until the next time you're paid? What if you need to go to the clinic and buy some medicine? All right, let's take the PowerPoint off and think about what your needs are. So the needs is the money you must spend. When you get older, there's lots of things that you must spend money on. You'll have rent, maybe a mortgage, medical costs, electricity. But when you're younger, you probably only have to concentrate on things like groceries, shampoo, and other essentials. When you're older, you might buy a car, get money from the bank. You'll have to pay the bank back, and it'll be a car payment. Of course, petrol's really expensive. Out in community, I'm sure it's even more expensive than Alice Springs. But at the moment, marked in blue, you may have to think about paying for your internet and certainly your mobile phone. These are important things that you need as a youngster. Okay, let's turn the PowerPoint off, please, and we'll look at some key words. Keywords are words that help you with your worksheet. If you don't understand what we're trying to ask you to do, it's very hard for you to complete the work accurately. So when someone has on your worksheet, takes out, what does that mean? That's a little bit unusual. Takes out means spends, uses, minus, or take away. So for example, $350 minus $150 leaves you with 200. As you get better at maths, you'll learn to be able to do this in your head. Now, we're going to do a role play, Dave and I, and we'd like you to listen because these are key words in your vocabulary and they're used in the worksheet. So I will say the word and explain what it means, and Dave will use that in a sentence. The first word is less, and that means not as much, a smaller amount.
You have $20. I have less than that. I only have $10.
That's right. So Dave has less than me. Spent. That word comes from the word spend, and it means you've already done it. You've paid and you've used and given the money away.
I spent $45 shopping on Saturday.
Okay, the next word is important. That's change. When you give someone money, it's really good that you check the change. When they give the money back to you, make sure they've given you the right money because sometimes people make mistakes and you don't want to lose money for nothing, do you? So the change is the money you get back if you have paid cash.
The jacket is $30. I have 40 and will get back $10 change.
That's right, that's exactly right. Now the next one, this is a word from the olden times, but it's used in your worksheet. The next word is bought. That means paid for or got at the shop.
I bought some mangoes.
Good. And the next word is left. Now when you think of the word left, you think of your left hand or turn left at the next road. But left, when you're talking about money, is what money is there after you have paid.
I spent too much money. I only have $5 left.
That's right, only $5 left. Let's clean the board so it's not distracting us. And now Dave and I are going to do a role play. So, we're talking about change. Dave's come into my shop And I've got some t-shirts on sale for just $15.
May I please buy a t-shirt, miss?
Oh, that's good. $20. You want to pay cash?
Yes, please.
Oh, that's good. So they're only $15 because they're on sale, and you're going to save some money. So I'm going to give you the difference between 20 will be a $5 change.
Well, thank you very much.
That's good. Did you want anything else while you're in the shop?
Can I have some stickers, miss?
Yeah, they're only $2.50. Okay, good one. So how much change did I give Dave now? $5 minus $2.50. I'm going to give him $2.50 back. Now, if you count your change properly, $2.50 and 50 makes 3, and 2 and 5.
All right, thank you.
Okay, enjoy yourself.
All
Bye.
right, see you, miss.
Okay. Right, everyone, let's have a look at the next slide, and we're going to have a look at how these words are used in your worksheet. Question 1. Mike has $481 in his bank account. He takes out $116 to buy a bike. How much has he left? So the key words are takes out, which, as we looked at before, means minus or take away, and left means what is left. So 481 minus 116. We have to borrow a 10 from here, so this is 11 minus 6 is 5, and we have to put another one on here because we've borrowed it, so 8 minus 2 is 6, and this one stays the same, 4 minus 1 is 3. Now remember what I said yesterday, we're talking about money, so to get your question right, you must add the sign of the unit it's talking about. Okay, second one. Keywords. Philip has $257. Sue has $128 less than Philip. So what does less mean? It means she has a smaller amount. So again, 257 minus 128. Borrow here. 8 from 17 leaves 9. Put 1 here, 3 from 5 is 2, and this stays the same. Now remember I talked yesterday about plus and minus being related, so we can go the other way here to check if we're right. 9 and 8 is 17, carry 1. 2 and 2 is 4, carry 1 is 5. 1 and 1 is 2, we're correct. Put your dollar sign in. Okay. Now, I think the most important thing we thought about there was change. If we can look at the next slide, please. So there you go. You need to be able to do mental maths, which means maths in your mind, and think about what you're doing when you go into the shop. See the man with the hat there? He's adding it up before he pays, so he won't get any change. But the lady who bought the sandwich down the bottom, she's paying $7.59 with a $20 note, and she needs to work out how much change she should get. So last slide, please. I'd really like to thank you all for listening, and take good care of yourselves and your families. Remember to do your workbooks, and that I please ask you to exercise your bodies and your brains. Okay, until tomorrow, everyone. Bye now.
Welcome back, all of you wonderful people, to lesson 2 of our integrated learning, which will be on slide 1. There we go, it's coming. Integrated learning. Now, yesterday I said, give me some ideas of character. I haven't had any suggestions. So today I decided I'm going to start dressing as the national clothes of people in the countries that I have taught. So today, as you can see, I am wearing what is called a habaya. That is the national dress of the ladies in the UAE, which is the United Arab Emirates, as you can see on our PowerPoint slide. It's a little country that's younger than me. I lived in a country that was younger than me. Scary thought. Enough about me though. What's on our menu for today? We're going to investigate the wonderful world of work. But before we do that, let's refresh what we did yesterday. Do you remember our high five? Being punctual, dress appropriately, finding a quiet place, taking away all distractions and paying attention. That's just a reminder of that. Quick question. What are we doing? Hopefully by the end of today, you will be able to figure out, what job do I need to do? All of you are now 16 years old, heading to the world of work, thinking of, what am I going to do? I just have my 16-year-old going off to his apprentice. So yeah, where am I going to? So hopefully by the end of this lesson, we are going to figure out, you would at least have an idea of where you're going. Now, short clip, like we did yesterday, we're going to have a short clip about different topics that you can think about. But before we start it, see if you can pick up the following things. 1, how many groupings are there? Are there any groupings? How many are there? What are they? And then a little trick. See how many of the Yirara students you can recognize and see if you can find yourself in it. Let's go, miss. All right, well done. Now, have you noticed anybody? Have you seen your wonderful faces in there? Whew, I had fun making that video last night at 12:30 this morning. Now, how many headings, how many little slides with words did you see? If you said 6, fantastic. Well done. 6 slides with words on. What does it mean? What? Doer, thinker, creator. What? Miss, you were too fast. Okay, let's slow it down. Number 1, a doer. Somebody that loves doing things with their hands, right? So they love outdoor play, they love sports. They love caring for pets. They love working outside in a garden, building stuff. That is what a doer does. So number 1, are you a doer? Let's look at number 2. Are you a thinker? Ooh, are you a thinker? Do you enjoy working on a computer? Do you enjoy doing maths? Reading? All of those fun stuff. What do you enjoy things? Then you are a thinker. Number 3, we've got a creator. Those people that love the music. They love dancing, they love music, they love painting, all the things I don't like. No, that's not me. Right, so we've got the doer, thinker, creator. Let's look at our next one, which is a helper. A helper. What does helpers do? They love serving people. They love working with children. That's me. That's why I'm here. They're friendly people. They work with old people very well. They love teamwork. And you saw those pictures. You saw the pictures in the video of the teamwork. Pulling, tug of war. Great teamwork right there. Next one. Persuader. Ooh, big word, just means you like convincing people, like talking to people. I like talking to people too. You like to interview people, make plans, and all of those fun things. That's a persuader. And then the last one, organizer. Organizer. You love organizing things. You love organizing parties. You love following plans. You just love filing things and making a tick-off sheet. You saw the last one with Tyrell and them in it, and Keanu, all of them. They had their little clipboard and they were going ticking off. So those are the 6 things. Now, great miss, where does that fit in with me? How does it work? For this one, we have got Mr. Dave coming in to tell us about someone.
Hello. Miss Fleur has asked me to select someone who we all know so we can learn about career interests. Essendon Bombers Anthony McDonald Tippunwoody came to mind. There was a great news article on the internet that I had a look at. The article talked about when he was trying to make it into the AFL. He made a recruitment video for a recruitment officer. He did such a good job of the recruitment video that the recruitment officer rang him back straight away. So we can say his video persuaded the recruitment officer to call him back. If you refer to the interest flower, you can see Anthony is a persuader. His interest in playing sport and his career achievements for Essendon and the Tiwi Bombers also can have him as a doer. His career interest in playing football classifies him as a doer.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Dave. Excellent work. Now, we are going to do it. Mr. Dave and I are going to do our one. We've got the big sheets. We've got the first one up there, and we've got the second one, right? So we are going to look at Mr. Dave.
Yep.
You want to tick who you are?
All right. I'm 2 things. I'm a doer. I love playing sport. I love caring for pets. I love hanging in the garden. And I love being outdoors. I'm also classifying myself as a helper. I love working with kids. I love being friendly. And I want to help people.
Great, Mr. Dave. Mr. Dave and I, we had the same idea. I'm definitely good at working with children, friendly, working as a team, and helping people. Right. Now, we are almost at the end of our little slide and our little time. So, have a look in your workbook. You'll see it on the PowerPoint. Have a look and see where you are. Where do you fall? And then tomorrow when Miss Andrea talks, she will be referring to that part. So, people, we've come to the end. And as my slide says, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Mr. Justin and welcome to Yirara College. For those of you who were with us last year, welcome back. The topic we'll be studying this term is health and wellness for life. Let's start with a quick activity to see what you already know. Open your booklets and write down for me what you know about health. What does it look like? What does it sound like? And how does it feel? In today's lesson, we're going to be learning about the different dimensions of health. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to list the dimensions of health give examples of what constitutes good and poor health, and examine your own health and wellness in terms of these dimensions.
In 1948, the World Health Organization defined health in its constitution as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Today, the term health is used in a wide variety of different contexts and for different purposes, and this may create confusion about the exact nature of health. However, it is essential to remember that health is concerned with the interconnected relationship between body, mind, and spirit to develop total well-being for an individual, group, or community. This holistic understanding of health as a concept embraces a broad range of factors that affect well-being. For each individual, these factors will be many and unique, and therefore all-round health can be difficult to ascertain and monitor. But analysing and understanding these factors affecting our health is essential to improving our well-being. Therefore, the many factors that affect health can be categorised into different health dimensions to help with our understanding. It is important to note that the health dimensions may differ slightly depending on your research and where you are reading. However, in health and physical education, we'll be investigating 6 dimensions of health. These include physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual, and environmental health. The physical dimension explores health factors that affect the functioning of our body's systems and the ability to undertake and successfully complete daily physical tasks. Optimal health in the physical dimension allows for a more active life with a reduced chance of illness. It increases life expectancy and decreases the risk of developing lifestyle diseases and chronic health conditions that can diminish quality of life. The emotional health dimension incorporates factors that affect a person's mood, general emotional state, and self-esteem. It is concerned with recognizing and expressing feelings adequately, as well as the ability to control emotions and read the emotion of others. It explores the capacity to offer emotional support and empathy. Optimal levels of emotional health allow for a more level-headed approach to life, with the ability to remain calm and be less reactive to situations. It enables people to limit stress, process complex and highly charged emotional events, and combat anxiety and depression. Optimal emotional health results in a happier life, which is more fulfilling and optimistic. The intellectual dimension includes health factors that affect the ability to think, learn, reason, make decisions, and display logic. This dimension is about gaining the necessary knowledge and cognitive skills that are appropriate for your situation and stage of life, and will allow for purposeful and informed decisions that enhance your day-to-day existence. The social health dimension refers to the ability to make and maintain meaningful relationships with others. Good social health includes not only having relationships, but behaving appropriately within them and maintaining socially acceptable standards. It allows us to work with others in any situation to benefit all in the relationship. Optimal social health develops a sense of belonging and acceptance. It brings comfort and counteracts the feelings of isolation and loneliness. Social health allows us to feel part of a broader group or community, and therefore helps to give life greater meaning and purpose. The spiritual health dimension relates to the values, attitudes, and beliefs of an individual and how these affect their health. Typically, these factors are shaped by family, peers, and the expectations of the local community or culture. However they develop, what is valued and the belief held by the individual will give their life purpose and govern their behaviours. Optimal spiritual health will allow for sensible decision-making, behaviours, and interactions that are based on a well-set moral compass. It will aid in giving life a purpose, which in turn helps to achieve goals, to maintain proper perspective on life, and overcome adversity. The environmental dimension of health explores the external situation and circumstances in which the individual finds themselves and how these factors affect their health. This dimension incorporates a range of external elements, including the physical environment, the home environment, the financial situation, the available health resources, and the work or school environment for the individual. Each of these external elements will influence the health situation and well-being of the individual. Some of these aspects can be difficult to alter without major changes to life circumstances, particularly for children who may have little or no control over these factors.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Yirara.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. Good to see you here, tuning in, watching the lesson. Yesterday, Emily was with me as the LSO at the start of the lesson, and today I've got...
Hello, everyone. Most of you will know me, but my name's Tiffany. I work with Mr. Paul in Senior Class A, and yeah, I'm glad that you're all here joining us.
Okay, and a part of the punishment for her not being at school yesterday was that she's now got to be the respondent, or she's got to listen to some of my knock-knock jokes. So...
Here we go.
Here we go,
This'll
yes,
be good.
yes. I need to put my glasses on. So, okay. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Nana.
Nana who?
Nana your business.
Terrible.
Okay. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Lettuce.
Lettuce who?
Let us in. It's cold out here. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Boo.
Boo hoo.
Don't cry because the students aren't back yet.
I might.
Actually, that was courtesy of Mr. Dan over at Clontarf. He said that to me last night after watching this. Dan, there's another little claim to fame there. Okay, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Olive.
Olive who?
Olive you.
So nice.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Police.
Police who?
Police let me in. It's chilly out.
Another one?
And the last one.
Last
Knock,
one.
knock.
Ooh. Who's there?
Spell.
Spell who?
W-H-O.
Very good.
Okay. So thank you, Tiffany. I'll let you just sort of walk off there. Don't worry, cut in front of me. That's all fine. Yesterday we started the lesson looking at cigarette smoking, and we're going to play a clip off YouTube that when you get the books, if you do the search on the top of the page, it actually says, if you need to watch this again for some reason, if you'd search up in YouTube, facts about smoking, this one will come up at the top of the search, and you'll see an image of an Indigenous flag made up of people. So let's watch this because we're going to look at some questions that you need to answer. It's a 4-minute clip, so listen, watch, enjoy, and absorb what's being said.
Do you know what kills more Aboriginal people than anything else? Is it violence, drugs, alcohol, car accidents? It's smoking cigarettes. Smoking kills more Aboriginal people than any other drugs and alcohol combined. Then why do nearly half of Indigenous Australians over 15 smoke? Some people think smoking makes you look cool or more grown up. Well, this is what can happen to smokers. Still think it looks cool? If you smoke a pack a day, that's about $6,000 a year. Think about what else you can buy with that money. But more importantly, smoking can take your life. At this cost, who can afford to smoke? So what do they put in a cigarette? They use leaves from the tobacco plant that have a very strong chemical in them called nicotine. Nicotine is addictive and makes you want more and more and more. But that's not all. Then they add more than 200 poisons, including insect spray, toilet cleaner, lighter fluid, arsenic, and rocket fuel. And even that's not all. In fact, there are more than 4,000 chemicals that go into one cigarette. So how does smoking kill? When you smoke, all those chemicals go through your mouth, into your lungs, and get into your blood. Then the blood carries them to your brain, and it makes you feel good, and you want more and more. But the blood also carries the chemicals all around the body, and small lumps called tumours can start to grow inside you. The tumours can spread around your body and start killing you. These tumours are called cancer. Many smokers die from cancer. Smoking makes your heart get weaker. It can't pump the blood around your body properly. Many smokers die because they get heart disease or have a heart attack. The lungs also get weak, and this makes it hard to breathe. Then you can't play sport so well. Smoking can also make it easier to get diabetes and other serious health problems. The worst thing is, these things can happen to people who don't even smoke. People get sick just from being around smokers. This is called passive smoking. 1 in every 4 people who die from cigarette smoke don't even smoke. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders die earlier than non-Indigenous Australians. They also smoke twice as much. When pregnant women smoke, it hurts the baby. The chemicals from the smoke go through the mother's body and into the baby's body. The baby can be born too early, and it can get sick all the time. Too much smoking while pregnant can even kill the baby. 20% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people will die from illnesses caused by smoking. That's 1 person in every 5. Will it be you? Your mum, dad, brother, sister, son or daughter? Smoking is killing too many people, but it can be stopped. Keep culture and family alive. Quit today.
I hope you enjoyed that. And well, although some of it was quite scary, wasn't it? Perhaps I should have started off by saying, hey, deadly, because that was deadly. Cigarette smoking is deadly. And this is looking at our health here a little bit. So, so the worksheets are on about the effects on our health. And so the first question, there's 4 pages that we're going to do today, just with a couple of simple tasks to do, but a bit of it is going to be you doing a little bit of reading later on. So the first question, it says true or false, smoking kills Aboriginal people more than any drugs and alcohol combined. So that means we could put all the people that die of alcohol-related diseases, all the people that die from using cocaine and marijuana and other drugs, and put them all together, and do more people die from cigarette smoking or not? If they do, then you need to mark it as true. Because, yeah, look, one of the scary things that was in that was it says the number of Indigenous people that do smoke, or there's a lot of them. The number, actually, some good news, the number in black and white society is that the numbers are decreasing, but they need to decrease a bit faster in the Indigenous society, so because it's not doing anyone any favours. Question 2. It costs about how much, so many dollars a year, if you smoke a pack of cigarettes a day? Now, some of this you might need to go back and look at again, and you can watch the video clip again. But if you allow, and this might be an old thing, because I hear now cigarettes are up to $50 a pack, and if you do a pack a day and multiply that by 7, because there's 7 weeks, 7 days in a week, and then there's 52 weeks in a year, we're getting up to around $16,000 a year. But you need to put in the figure that worked out there from what they did in the video clip. Question 3, the chemical that is in tobacco plants is called, and I guess this is the addictive part of it, and it's a word that we used yesterday in the lesson. Question 4, what are the tumours called that we grow in our body? And I guess these tumours is the same name as what people would say that, oh, I have, and they name the disease. And it might be that disease in their lungs, it might be in their brain, it might be in their bowels, it might be somewhere else in their body. But what is that disease or those tumours called that grow in your body? And I'll give you a clue with that. I mean, I'm sure you know it, but the word actually starts with a C. And it's got 6 letters in it. And C is the first one. Hang on. Question 5, true or false? Smoking makes your heart get weaker. Is that true or false? Question 6, what is another part of the body that is affected by smoking and makes it hard to breathe? So, yeah, when you're doing this, when you're smoking, you're breathing the smoke in, and it's going straight to this part of your body that's inside it. And I'm sure you guess what that is. And then the last question is, which percentage of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people will die from smoking? Is it 10%, 50%, which is half, 20% or 5%? Okay. Now, there's a page there that you can have a read through, and it talks about how smoking harms the body. We've got, in the different parts of the body, and harms it in different ways. We've got the heart is affected. The lungs are affected. Oh, lungs. I wonder where that word was going to be handy before. Our circulation, our blood circulating around our body. How does the body, smoking harm that part of the body? It says increases blood pressure and heart rate, which isn't good for us. Fertility for men. So smoking can cause impotence in men so that you can't, I guess, in sexual activity in the future, the sperm won't be as active or as good. There's bones. The brain, it affects your brain. It affects your mouth and throat. It affects your stomach. It affects a woman's fertility, because smoking can make it harder to conceive. And it also affects your skin. So there's lots of things, lots of parts of the body. And it's good to know what the effects are, because you might see this in some people you know, maybe some family members. That it does affect their bodies in so many different ways. To read a couple of quotes here, smoking harms nearly every organ of the body, causing many diseases and reducing the health of smokers in general. and that was from an introduction to tobacco in Australia. Tobacco Smoking, Australian Institute of Health and Welfare says tobacco smoking is the leading cause of preventable disease and death in Australia. I mean, some diseases and some death, you can't stop it. It happens. But with smoking, if we stop smoking, that would make everyone's health a bit better. The smoking is something that the people choose to do, so it's a preventable one if they choose not to, or they choose to stop doing it. Because in the coming days, you're going to find it really interesting to see how the body restores itself when you stop smoking. That if you stop smoking for a week or a month or a year, how much of your body can come back into working how it used to. Just a little personal story. When I was in high school, there was a very good, one of my friends played trumpet, and he was a very good trumpeter. Went on to play in Melbourne in a big band and things, and was a professional musician, but he smoked. And he found that that he wasn't able to hit the high notes anymore because his lung capacity wasn't as good. So he wasn't able to take as big a breaths, to blow as hard, to hit those high notes. And I wonder about even some of you guys, if you're Yirara players, play the didge. The breathing's going to be affected, and it affects your sport and all sorts of things. So, just be thinking about what, how it affects you and the life that you want to live. Now, the third page is to match the correct parts of the body to the smoking risks. So the first one is the brain. Now we'll do the first one together. So with the brain, does it increase the chance of getting stomach cancer and ulcers? No. Brain, is that prematurely ages skin between 10 and 20 years? No. Brain, smoking makes it harder to have children? No, that's not to do with the brain. Does it double the risk of heart attack? No, the brain doesn't. Does it increase the chance of having a stroke by 50? Ooh, maybe. Does it increase blood pressure and heart rate? Is that to do with the brain? No. Does it cause 84% of deaths from lung cancer? No, that's not to do with the brain. That's another part of the body. Can cause bones to become weak and brittle? No, that's not. Again, we're not talking about the brain. Or does it increase risk of cancer in lips, tongue, throat, voice box and gullet? Again, I don't think that's the brain, so it must be that it increases the chances of having a stroke by 50%. So if I then do a line from the brain down to increases the chance of stroke by 50%, and then I can go through and find out which one matches mouth and throat, and do the lines and match all those up as well. So that's just a little bit of work to do, but the last page is something to read, and let's read it together. As well as the long-term problems that smoking causes, the body can also be affected by the following ways: bad breath, bad smelling clothes and hair, trouble breathing and keeping up in sports, greater risk of injury and slower healing time, increases risk of illness, causes yellow-brown stains on your fingers, tongue and teeth, increases your risk of tooth loss, makes your skin saggy and gives you early wrinkles, makes your hair lose its natural shine. So there's some things that can happen, again, long term, if we're smoking. When you smoke, toxic chemicals enter your lungs and spread throughout your body. They can reach your brain, heart and other organs within 10 seconds of your first puff. They can go everywhere your blood flows, harming every part of your body. And there's over 4,000 different poisons that are within every cigarette that we just get a little bit of, but over time that builds up in our bodies. So we're getting some facts here. Even in maths, we're looking at data. Well, we're getting some facts about some of the things that happen to our bodies because of smoking cigarettes. And hopefully, as we think about some of these facts, it might help us to make decisions like that I'm going to give up smoking, or I'm never going to smoke. And hopefully those will be some wise decisions, and even how, well, if you're concerned about your parents or your grandparents, to think we'll be looking at some ways that we can give up smoking in the future, and that might be some ways that you can help them. So we've got some stuff to do. I'll let you do that work, and I'll be back to you in a minute with a maths lesson that'll be very short and sweet. Hi guys and ladies and gentlemen. It's we're back here live looking at a maths lesson. This is going to be quite short and sweet, a bit like me, just short and sweet. But yesterday we looked a little bit at data and how we gather information. And as you know, we're doing it all the time. Remember, sometimes it's just in our head as we look to, you know, we might be seeing what sort of fish we're catching, or what sort of cars are around us, or how our football team is doing. There's data everywhere, but sometimes it's also more formal, so that it's written down. People put it into graphs. They present reports on things, because the idea is that data gives good information on which to make some good decisions from. So we're going to look today at it's just 2 pages in our workbook, and there's only 1 page that you're going to be filling some things out. But we're going to be looking at numerical or categorical data. And I'm going to read the definition that's on the page. So if the wonderful team here zoom down on the page here, I'll just read this. There are 2 different data groups, numerical or categorical data. So numerical, now let's think about the word first. Numerical, in it there's a word number. Numero, number, is within numerical. So it's got to do with numbers of things. So again, you know, some English words, we can see what what we call the root word is that it comes from. So here we're looking at data that's based on numbers, and it's called numerical data. This is one which has a number, value, and can be measured. The data can be ordered from smallest to largest. For example, people's height, the temperature, and time can all be measured and ordered in numbers. How many goals on an AFL football team scores is an example of numerical data. We can measure the smallest amount of goals to the largest. And remember, we always put Richmond at the top of that one, and you can put your team down the bottom and that'll be fine. Okay, categorical data. Now, the idea of putting things in categories means to find something that they can be put together because they've got something in common. And perhaps it's not a word that we use so much, but it's not got to do with numbers. But it might be that if we go out hunting and we shoot 5 kangaroos, it's just we shot kangaroos. But I'm not worried whether they were red kangaroos or rock wallabies or what the type of kangaroo they were. But I'm just concerned about that we got some, that we were able to bring it home and we were able to feed the family and maybe some of the community. So categorical data is data that is used to group information that is similar. The data cannot be measured from smallest to largest. Rather, it is grouped. For example, people's favourite colour. It might be their football teams or food. Collecting the colours of cars is an example of categorical data. So when we could say that white cars are the most popular, and I don't need to produce popular colour for a car, but I don't need to produce the figures for that. An example, looking at the following question. How do you usually get to school? All you guys do is get out of bed, go past the dining room and come to school. But I guess this is perhaps geared up for these questions for some other people that are living in their community and wandering home, and you might think about what you did in primary school. Did you just walk? Did the bus pick you up? Did mum or dad or uncle or aunt, someone drive you there? How did you get to school? The second part is to estimate how many minutes it usually takes to get to school. So we've got three guys here. Brett travels by car and it takes him about 2 minutes. Jackie he walks to school and it takes him about 7 minutes. But Woody, he gets on the school bus and it takes about 10 minutes. I guess they're stopping and starting a bit more, so it takes a bit longer. The data relates to the way students get to school are called categorical because the type of travel represents categories or groups and they cannot be ordered like numbers. The data relates to the time it takes students to get to school are called numerical because the data is a number and can be measured. It can be ordered on a scale from smallest to largest. So when we're down this middle here, they're the categories. This is categorical data, that we know that there are 3 ways that these students travel to school. But numerical data tells us the time it takes. And so from that numerical data, we know that a car is the fastest way, the walking is the second fastest, and the bus is the third fastest. But also what it doesn't tell us is how far each of those 3 guys travelled. What if, we don't know how far away from the school Brett was, or Woody was, or Jackie was. So here's a worksheet for you. Now this is going to be a bit tricky because we're not here in class and we're going to make up some data for the first one. So yesterday we talked about facts. This isn't going to be a fact because it's something we're making up. We need to ask, it says to ask 5 people how they get to school. And you might look in your community now and see, put down 5 names of some students that are at the primary school, in the community school, and then say, how do they get there? Do they ride their bike? Do they scooter? Do they walk? Does someone drop them off in the car all the time? Or or is there a bus that picks them up? I know when I was down at Docker River, there was a bus that would go around and pick up the students. So So can you put down 5 names, put down how they travel to school, and then even to estimate, and this might be where you're making something up, as to how long it would take them to get to school. So if everybody walks, that's okay still. You could put 5 people walking, but you might have that Julie only takes 2 minutes to walk because she lives beside the school. But Chris, he takes 10 minutes to walk because he lives over east side or something. So make up some figures, fill that out and give us both the categorical data, how they travelled, and also the numerical data with the time that it took to do it. And then here in question 2, we're going to write 2 or 3 example answers for each set of data before writing whether it is numerical or categorical data. The first one is done for you. So the first one, the data is species of fish in a river. The answer is that there's barramundi, snapper and catfish. And because we're not counting how many barra, or we can't count how many snapper and catfish, we're just looking at categories. So they're types of fish in the river. The next one asks the height in metres for each person in class. So again, it might range from, you might have to put a range there of 1.5 to 2 or even to 2 metres. I don't know, I'm just thinking, well, shade, you're a bit taller than me, would you be up? Maybe not quite as high as 2 metres yet. And then put whether that's categorical or numerical. And go down this list, favourite musicians, and who might some of those be? Age of each person in secondary school, and roughly that's what, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and is that numerical or categorical? The fastest time for each person in a 100-metre run. So you put some times there and say whether it's numerical or categorical. Mobile phone brands owned by classmates. You might put a couple of phone brands in there and then say whether it's numerical or categorical. Rainfall amounts in millimetres for January. And the last one, places in Australia your classmates have travelled to. Write some places around Australia and say whether it's numerical or categorical. And then finally make up your own. Write an example of numerical data you could collect. What could you collect? It might be, if I say it, don't write this down, but it could be favourite food. I know that's more categorical, favourite food. But you might, with the numerical data, you might put something to do with with the AFL or something, and you might have the number of clearances that a certain player. No, that's not numerical again. Categorical. Oh no, we want numerical. Yes, the number of clearances that a player kicks out from the back line. I won't even say a Richmond player. Hey, look, it's just, I think that's been a bit shorter than, but either way, there's not a lot of work there to do. It's just over 2 pages, and I hope that you give that a go, and if there's any issues, we can sit down when you get into the classroom again and go through this so that you're clear on it all. I'll be back tomorrow, and a few more jokes and a bit more interesting lessons that I hope you're learning from. So see you tomorrow. God bless.
Okay, so the topic for today's art lesson is going to be texture. So when we talk about texture in art, What we're actually talking about is the feel of an object. So how an object might look rough or maybe smooth. And you can do different marks with your pen or pencil to try and achieve this effect. So I'll give you an example here. You can see some of these hopefully. The rocks are a little bit more of a smooth texture, and perhaps the bark on a tree, I'm not sure if that's bark on a tree, but maybe more of a rough texture. There is an artist that I really like who uses this mark making to do different textures in his work, and this is a picture of a painting by Vincent van Gogh. So you can see how he uses different kinds of mark making to do different textures in his artwork. So let's have a go. Okay, as you can see, I'm just going to begin by tracing my hand. I've sped up this video, so if at any point you need a little bit more time, you can pause it. I'm going over this in black fine liner pen, but again, if you don't have one, that's fine. You can just use a grey lead pencil. Just make sure that your grey lead pencil is really sharp. On my first finger here, I'm going to do something, a texture that looks a lot like mesh or perhaps fabric. So it kind of looks like a rough texture just by doing lots of little cross hatchings. On my second finger, you might have guessed, I'm doing something that again looks like a rough surface by doing lots of little small marks to make it look like it's got some shadow. On this middle finger, you might have guessed I'm doing something that looks a lot like fish scales. So I'm filling up the space with lots of squiggly lines. Again, if you need to pause it at any point in the video, you can do so you can work on it at your own pace. So lots of different textures, mostly rough textures at this stage. So you can manipulate your drawing by using this kind of mark making to do different textures. A cactus with lots of little spikes on my fourth finger, and on my final finger or thumb, I'm just doing some marks in different directions to try and make it look like animal fur. So have a go and see if you can copy mine or even just come up with your own.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Yirara.
Defense Force visit. Flight Lieutenant Brendan Nopke, Corporal Aaron Robertson, and Gunner Joshua Youngblood were put to the test trying to find 10 pieces of defense equipment. It is a great time to have some laughs and continue to build relationships with.
The second take of closing. 3, 2, 1.
Closing. We have enjoyed sharing some of our stories with you. Thank you for your time, and be sure to join us next week as we travel into town to think about a job, talking about our country. I'll see you later.
The third take of the closing. 3, 2, 1.
Bye, and I'll see you later. This is Yirara TV.
Hi, I am Tyrese Nelson.
And I am Roy Murphy.
And Jared Dan Hogan.
And welcome to another Yirara TV. We always enjoy showing you some of the things we do while living at Yirara College. Next week is a very busy week as most of our seniors will be going off campus to take part in our work experience week.
Students have the opportunity to learn about different careers during the placement at different hosts such as schools, YMCA, childcare and Injirki and many more.
This week Anthony Nish has been developing his skills during his placement with the ground and maintenance team at Yirara.
Some days Klanta for daily training session before chapel, and to make it even more fun, we barbecue our own breakfast.
Let's take a look.
It was awesome to see 30 fellas up early for the first Klanta training for this term. Amazing effort, and we look forward to seeing the numbers grow over the course of this term. Great work from Benny Hayes for serving the hungry mob after working up an appetite.
Our Year 9 class continued to learn how to manage money, plan for meals, and figure out where's the best value around town to buy food. Here are some of our thoughts.
I don't know how to cook. Really me.
Hello, hey, we're cooking pancake at the moment, you know. We got me, Terry.
You need everyday food, not just one day food.
Work to earn your own money.
Get your own cards and make own payments. Spend money wisely. How much costs for your lunch from the supermarket?
Most of us made kangaroo burgers with cheese, mayo, and sauce. Ian McAdam and Darren Talbot from Red Tail came to Yirara as part of our regular sessions with Congress to continue their activities.
So your job is to understand the game you're playing, because once you understand it, you can get better at it.
Using teamwork, communication, and value building ideas with the Year 10s.
In this activity, they had to work together to draw an unbroken line through the maze with everyone on the team taking part.
The line has got to be clearly done, so you just get there, boys.
That's Yirara TV for this week. Be sure to catch up with us next week.
Bye!
Good morning.
Welcome back to Yirara.